Alright guys, OO Joe here, and let me welcome you to the first video of this brand new channel, where we will be looking at everything lore related from the spy world of fictional espionage. Today we'll be looking at probably one of the most iconic characters from the James Bond series, none other than Dr. Julius No. Now I'll mainly be examining the film version of this character, from his origins to random trivia. And if you enjoyed this video by the end, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to see more of my content. Hint, hint. And on that note, let's begin. Dr. Julius No is a genius scientist with an implied Napoleon complex. By his own account, No is the unwanted child of a German missionary and a Chinese girl of a good family. For reasons known only to him, No entered into a life of crime, and after many years he became the entrusted treasurer of the most powerful criminal society to emerge from Asia, the Tongs.
It's rare for the Tongs to trust anyone who isn't completely Chinese. I doubt they should do so again.
Now, who are the Tongs? They were an organization found among Chinese immigrants living in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. Tongs first appeared in 17th century China when the Ming dynasty was overthrown by the Qing dynasty. One of the first established Tongs were located in the province of Guangdong, which was home to many of the first Chinese migrants heading to America, some of whom would take with them the notion of a Tong as an organization to set up there. In Chinese, the word Tong means hall or gathering place. These organizations are described as secret societies or sworn brotherhoods and are often tied to criminal activity. When the opportunity arose, No took his chance by absconding with $10 million worth of the Tongs' gold bullion, using it to fund his subsequent criminal activities. Eventually, he offered his skills and expertise to both the American and Soviet governments, but was rejected. In revenge, No joined the secret criminal organization Spectre.
Spectre?
Spectre. Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion. The four great cornerstones of power, headed by the greatest brains in the world.
Correction. Criminal brains.
Dr. No's scheme in the 1962 film is to electronically sabotage the US Project Mercury spaceflight program from Cape Canaveral. He achieves this with the use of his high-powered radio beam technology, which is powered by his very own nuclear reactor. Now, as to the reason why he's doing this, Spectre is primarily a profit-based organization through the use of criminal activity, if the terrorism, revenge, and extortion part in the name wasn't clear enough. So it is likely to assume that they were hired by a third party. Chances are the Russians, who would have definitely desired an edge over the US during the space race. As a specialist in atomic energy, Dr. No was the prime choice to be placed in charge of this operation. Then, when his mission on Crab Key is complete, he will destroy the island and move on without a second thought. Which, considering that fish tank of his alone costs about $1 million, it does seem a little bit of a waste of money. I mean, I did mention this guy was a treasurer, right? Dr. No is spouting a genius-level intellect, though he is also egotistical, impassive, and commanding. He comes across with a cold, calm, and calculating demeanor, refusing to rise to even Bond's petty insults.
It was a good idea to use atomic power. I'm glad to see you can handle it properly. World domination, that same old dream. Tell me, does the toppling of American missiles really compensate for having no hand? Our asylums are full of people who think they're Napoleon or God.
Although, if someone is unfortunate enough to meet face to face with the good doctor, they would see very quickly that his appearance seems to reflect his self-sense of superiority. The well-groomed doctor keeps himself closely shaven, with his dark hair always neatly combed back. He dresses himself in equally well-tailored, cream-covered Nehru suits. From his inflated self-importance and the shortcomings in his life, it doesn't take a psychologist, or even a megalomaniac in this case, to see that Dr. No suffers from a Napoleon complex, a theorized inferiority complex normally attributed to people of short stature. Named after Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte I of France, This complex is characterized by overly aggressive or domineering social behavior and carries the implication that such behavior is compensatory for the subject's physical or social shortcomings. In the Doctor's case, the loss of his hands is the obvious example. The Doctor has a complete disregard for human life, proving that he's clearly not that kind of Doctor, and often rules his subordinates through fear. When he learns from his associate that British Secret Service agent John Strangways has been investigating his activities on Crab Key and had obtained suspiciously radioactive rock samples from his island, this prompts No to deploy his enforcers to kill the inquisitive Strangways and his secretary Mary Trueblood. Then, when fellow British spy James Bond is subsequently sent to Jamaica by his superior M to investigate their murders, hoping to keep Bond from intruding on his business, Dr. No gives both the mice and Dent orders to eliminate him. Unfortunately for the good Doctor, all attempts fail. By the time James Bond, along with Honey Rider, are captured, Dr. No attempts to persuade Bond to join Spectre, with no success. Disappointed by Bond's lack of appreciation and vision, the Doctor has 007 beaten and thrown in a cell, whereas Miss Rider is taken away to meet a horrible fate herself involving crabs. Apparently, Dr. No is shown to be private to the point of zealous, refusing to allow anyone to go near or even set foot on Crab Key unless pre-approved by him, and after following strict procedure, breaking his protocols is not the wisest idea. He even goes as far as stealing any and all files containing information relating to him through the use of his network of agents and keeping the nearby islanders at bay through his ruthless and brutal reputation. Dr. No possesses a strong sense of pride when it comes to his work and accomplishments. The designing of his aquarium, along with displaying the Goya's portrait of Wellington, which was stolen in August 1961 from London's National Gallery, in his subaquatic living quarters, that No has decorated with antique and modern designs. His pride was damaged when his services were originally refused by the East and West, and sought revenge in joining a criminal outfit. The Doctor considered his pride hurt once again when Bond's resourcefulness, determination, and difficulty to kill proved more than a nuisance to his operation, costing him time, effort, and manpower. Curious, he allowed Bond to live long enough to find out what kind of man he was, much to his disappointment and eventual downfall.
Unfortunately, I misjudged you. You are just a stupid policeman whose luck is run out.
Professor R.J. Dent. In his role as a Jamaican geologist, Professor R.J. Dent is the very picture of respectability. He befriends John Strangways, the British intelligence agent who is investigating Dr. No, and frequently plays bridge with him at the Queen's Club. In reality, Dent is an agent of Dr. No and plays a key role in the murder of Strangways. He first attempts to assassinate Bond by placing a tarantula in his bed, which fails. His next attempt involves ambushing 007 at the home of Miss Taro. Instead, he finds Bond waiting for him with a gun in hand. As Bond is interrogating him, he grabs his silenced pistol, only to find out there is no more bullets in the magazine. Bond then shoots him in cold blood.
What keep up? Mr. Smith & Wesson. And you've had your 6.
The Three Blind Mice. 3 hitmen working for Dr. No in Jamaica. They disguise themselves as blind beggars to avoid detection. They are tasked with eliminating John Strangways, his secretary Mary Prescott, and eventually Bond. When they're not moving around like beggars, they are transported in a hearse. Their first attempt to kill Bond involved waiting outside his hotel, but as they were preparing to shoot Bond, a car drives by and they miss their chance. In their next and final attempt, they chase him in their hearse up a twisty mountain road on the way to Miss Taro's apartment. However, after Bond uses some fancy maneuvers, their hearse skids off the road, down a ravine, exploding and killing them.
I think they were on their way to a funeral.
Miss Taro. She is Dr. No's spy posing as a secretary at the government house in Jamaica. After seducing Bond, she asks him to visit her at her home where later the three blind mice would attempt to kill him. However, surprised that Bond survived, Taro keeps Bond in her house until Professor Dent can arrive. Bond then turns her over to the authorities and waits for Dent. She is never seen again.
What's going on?
Forgive me, book her, Superintendent, will you? And, be careful of her nail varnish.
Annabelle Chung, a photographer hired by Dr. No to tail Bond when he arrives in Jamaica. She attempts to take a picture of him at the airport, but only manages to get a shot of his hat. She then follows Bond to Pussfeller's Oceanside bar, where she tries to get another photo. After she takes the picture, Bond instructs Qualo to bring her to him. Qualo twists her arm and offers to break it. But since she won't tell Bond who she's working for, he lets her go. She is never seen again.
Run along, freelance.
You'll be sorry. You'll all be sorry, you rats.
Mr. Jones. Posing as a chauffeur from Government House, he picks Bond up from the airport when he first arrives in Jamaica. However, already suspecting him, Bond calls Government House and finds out that Jones is indeed an imposter, but agrees to ride with the stranger anyway. While on their way from the airport, Bond instructs Jones to pull off and then demands to know who hired him. After Bond punches him around for a minute, Jones agrees to talk. Jones never actually attempted to kill Bond, but we can assume that he was driving the car off to someplace where Bond would have been killed. He commits suicide with a cyanide-laced cigarette.
Sergeant, make sure he doesn't get away.
Dr. No's research into radioactivity had a disastrous side effect: the complete loss of both his hands. He overcame this disability by devising a pair of artificial hands, which he attached to the nerve endings in both his arms. A feat of engineering, No's hands are comprised of a skeleton of lightweight steel alloy, covered by renewable fireproof vinyl polymer skin. The skeletal mechanisms allowed great flexibility of movement, like the interlinked articulated fingers, which also contained sensors in the tips that transmitted sensations directly to No's brain. The Doctor's hands possess massive gripping capabilities due to the built-in force multipliers, allowing him to achieve impressive feats of strength, demonstrated by No crushing a metal Buddha figurine.
I thought you less stupid. Usually when a man gets in my way.
This makes No's hands dangerous weapons in close quarters, which he put to good use in his fierce struggle with 007. However, a major design flaw was revealed when No's metal hands were unable to secure a grip, a flaw that cost Dr. No his life. The Dragon or Dragon Tank is a flame-throwing armoured vehicle utilised by Dr. No to keep inquisitive locals away from his operations on Crab Key. Powered by a diesel engine, its most distinctive feature was its long metal dragon's head, which had been added to the front of the radiator. Its pair of yellow headlamps had been given black centers to make eyes, and a long snout with gaping jaws had been added to look like a dragon's mouth. Inside the snout was its primary weapon, a powerful flamethrower. Dr. No has an entire army to do his bidding, mostly consisting of Jamaican, Cuban, and Chinese individuals, armed with a variety of automatic and semi-automatic weapons, such as the British Sten Mark II. High-powered speedboats also patrolled Crab Key's coastline from trespassers, and are armed with mounted Bren Mark III light machine guns. No's forces also deployed the use of guard dogs to search the island for intruders who managed to make it further inland. Crab Key was an island located off the coast of Jamaica. It contained a large bauxite mine and acres upon acres of swamps, marshlands, rivers, and mangroves. It is from here Dr. No runs his entire operation. While No prepares to topple the rocket from his control room, Bond escapes captivity and disguises himself in a hazmat suit. No mistakes him for one of his engineers, presenting the spy with an opportunity to overload the facility's atomic reactor. As the reactor proceeds to melt down, Dr. No faces Bond in a last-ditch effort to salvage his plans, but to no avail. In their struggle, the two men fall onto a platform descending into the bubbling reactor coolant. Bond manages to climb to safety, but Dr. No is unable to pull himself up using his prosthetics and is boiled to death. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and if you'd like to suggest something to be covered in a future video, drop a comment down below and share this vid. All this really helps the channel to grow. And on that note, see you all next time.